Moving on the Get a Grip series then, this is the build-up for a cone, and like we did with the cylinder, we start off with an ellipse and the St Andrew's cross, those two diagonal lines going through. We'll have a centre line for the point being directly above. Remember, this is not a cylinder, and we're starting with the base this time, rather than starting with the top. The same divisions, which was to take the nearest quarter, divide it into thirds, like a clock face, and project through the centre to find the corresponding scaled points behind. Do the same on the left or right hand side, project through the centre, and we'll find those corresponding opposites on the face there. So at this time, if we go for, say, a 12 up here, 1, 2, and so on, you can see we've got a very clear, defined circular base presented as an ellipse with equal 12 divisions. Now we're going to indicate the height. Now the proportion of the cone can vary greatly. I'm looking for that tangent, that widest point contact, well, somewhere between two numbers rather than on a number at the moment. And then I'm going to try and sketch in lines for generators going from the apex, the point of that cone, to the 12 divisions on the base of the cone itself. And I can actually put a few in the background here as well, as if I can see through. Looks a little bit like a maple, these lines generating from the apex to the base. Now we can see a fairly straightforward cone there, but we're going to add a little bit more detail to this. I'm just going to firm in the base, because in this particular sketch we're not going to cut through the base. It can be done, we'll show that maybe in another video. We're going to decide to make a couple of cuts, maybe something a little bit more complex. If we just horizontally slice through a cone, we'll get another ellipse, slightly bigger as we go down. So if I took those two slices for the moment, I could take the top off or more of the top off. If I was to slice down vertically, it would be kind of smart move to slice down a generator line, because they're already on the sketch. And if I had a sloping cut, one that doesn't quite come to the base, then it'd be an ellipse at an angle as I've sketched on there. So we've got a possibility of cuts. I've now got to make a decision as to which one we're going to see and which way it's going to be cut up. So at the moment, we're going to remove the top. We're going to cut down another horizontal cut, taking the top round, but not all the way through. So this is going to come partway through until it reaches one of our generators. And I'm going to take generator 6, I think it might be, the one there, yeah, the left-hand side. Come down that generator until it cuts through the ellipse I had earlier on. Now that line's going similar direction to the one on the base to give my back edge where this cut might go into. Might not be too clear at the moment, but let me just build up the ellipse we've already sketched in. And I'm going to have a sloping cut in the lower half, a vertical cut through the middle, just firming this in with the bigger pen or the wider pen. So you can see there's the sloping cut not coming to the base. Coming back up, there's a vertical cut coming up, and then there's a horizontal capping off at the top and a sort of half cut coming in round here with this shadow line. The top, kind of complex looking form, but using all those construction lines, I can build up a reasonably good approximation of what this form might look like. As always with the Get a Grip series, we did the construction lines early on to construct the ellipse, to give us the diagonal lines, the St Andrew's cross as I've referred it to, and we've firmed in outlines. Now we're going on to this render grip. The camera is sitting above the object, so I had to move around a little bit to get this working a little bit better. It's not ideal. Normally we would be turning the page, so my hands are coming in from all different angles here. And as always, it's the light coming from the top left, so the righter side will eventually be darker. And with rendering conical surfaces, cone-shaped surfaces, we want to have this fanning action, this radiating out from the apex. Even if the apex, the point, is not there, it will still work from that center point. Again, working in darker, building up tone, in this case, the right-hand side. And of course, with a big chunk missing, there's going to be a large shaded area underneath this top. So using the soft pencil again, just working on that, building up the tone. And again, we may have to have several different attempts to build it up. Remember, always start light and you can go darker. It's very difficult to lighten things up. So I've definitely this idea of a flat vertical surface appearing almost inside the cone. When it comes to sloping surface, I tend to render that at an angle to reinforce the slopiness, if that is indeed a word, coming down there. There's going to be a shadow cast from the top, and I'm making a bit of a guess it's going to be a scooped shaped shadow, so just lightly putting that on, and I'll maybe try and build that up. This is be the shadow cast from the top of that cone, possibly not covering the whole of that surface underneath. A little bit more detailing required with the soft pencil. As I said, these are, I think that was a 3 or 4B pencil, and you can see already it's starting to build up. As in previous drawings, because I'm working on brown paper, there's a chance here to use that soft pencil. If I've mentioned it before, white pencil, these have had these for a few years now. They can cost you £5 or more, but they're well worth it. A soft white pencil adds just that little lift to a drawing, so long as you don't leave it lying about and one of your colleagues or your mates steal it. So picking up the little highlights at the back edge where the light might be coming through, there's sharp edges, little point reflections on them. And I think something like this needs to get a little bit darker underneath. Again, remember we said we can build that tone up, and this is sort of object that would probably look quite good with a shadow on wherever the surface might be. Now we're putting quite a high contrast at the edge of the highlight there. This is to simulate a more high shine finish, a high gloss finish. So you get this contrast of a line. The lines are actually, if you watch, I've chosen one of the generators for that highlight, and they're on that generator type idea. So the generators are a great aid when it comes to this. A little bit tidying up the edges, maybe firming in lines towards the edge. And I've definitely got a shiny looking cut cone sitting there. It's a little bit darker down underneath these areas. There we go, that's darkening quite nicely now. Shadow for this would be coming from the opposite generators, and we'd taper in. So just taking that, both heading towards a slightly scooped top. Had there been an apex, a point on the cone, there would have been a point up there, but we just scooped the end of that shadow up, and then building up the density of the tone in round about the base. A little bit of tidying up round about. Haven't used an eraser or rubber or anything on this one yet, so I haven't gone too far. Maybe just add something behind to give it some depth. In this case, let's use a white pencil, horizontal pencil on this page, just to give an edge to a surface behind, and maybe just a little bit of black next to white so as the white stands out a bit more. Hope you got something from that and enjoy your sketch.